Good evening, everybody. This is the Operation Reality Check Game 1 recap. The Central Powers, Madman and Krautfather, they're conceding. They realized for a while now, but the situation has become too much for them to really continue. They did force the Russian Civil War, which, either way, kind of screwed because it pushed all their Turkish forces here, and they're going to be too far away from Ottomans. And fearing that the Allies were going to staging Caucasus to attack outer Russia, which is in the rule books allowed. They had, along with that, the intervention of Allies into the Russian Civil War and the immediate intermittent collapse of Constantinople, which is going to happen next turn due to the fact that I'm going to roll 13 fours and I have 18 threes rolling with that too. So that's this has been over 20 hits and only have 15 units defending here, so they realize that come the British turn that they're gonna lose Constantinople and potential Allied intervention coming this way to relieve this area. Not only that, but the Germans here, so they're gonna lose Ostans because that's only one infantry, a lot of artillery, yes, but Germans cannot hold this flank against the power of the French and the British armies in there. Roughly the similar size here. I have incoming tanks. I have a massive amount of British infantry coming in here to fight this. So they decide that this position was untenable. And this army is pretty much trapped here. They can move there, and the French can move here and stuff. And we decided by end of turn 6, it probably would be French would own Ostans. Germans might still be contested. The British are going to come in there. British could potentially naval invade Hanover and stuff like that, putting more pressure on them. And Italy probably was going to go to Saxony or somewhere here and just, make this a bigger mess than it had to be, because they can move all these troops into Venice and have a good sense of defensive line. So they realized that, Germans can lose half this land time they're used from here to get closer. And Austria can't really defend both ways. And loss of Constantinople would essentially open up this whole flank to 6 British troops produce their turn, along with the threats from the Italians and the French. It'd be too much for them to handle there. African front line, they're pulling out. It's just slowly but surely going to get wiped out. Same within the Pacific with the Japanese fleet here for the British fleet, and the American fleet sitting right here. The Germans have realized they're going to be trapped in the Pacific and eventually lose this point. A slow death, yes. And especially with all the British reinforcements coming here, the idea was to take this units here and rail them into Caucasus essentially and just push out here and delay the inevitable while the front here gets pushed in. So that's how it goes. It was a good series overall. I know we got lucky on a lot of the dice rolls, and that kind of made them mad on some dice. But just how it kind of ebbs and flows, I guess. Also it comes down to the strategy to an extent. They didn't have to leave their here weakened and freaking dead, but that's on them. But they did get Russia the Civil War, which did hurt, but I think we played it pretty well. We had the Ottoman Turks super deep here, so that way when they would win it, they would get pushed here, and we held the Caucasus, which is important because if we would have lost the Caucasus, then they could just push down here, essentially, and that would be terrible. Well, since we held it here, they can't push, they gotta come all the way around, while we can go here and attack outwards, which is how the game is designed. Is that fair necessarily? No, but that is how the game is designed. Allies can come into Caucasus and attack outer Russia just fine. And which would have helped, and once we taken Volga for them, it's it would go back to White Russia or whatever, and help them win the Civil War. But I got the final stats here. We had the Turkish with $4, the Austrians with 24, Italians with 26, Germans and French with 29, Japanese and Russians had 14, but USA 31, the British 64, and the victory points, heavily contested, in our favor. We would have added. You would have lost. I think we would at least had. This would still be untested. We probably would have taken this one. We would probably have taken Dalmatia. we would have another point for Constantinople, and we'd be sitting at here. So it would, I mean, we were sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points. We would have had an extra 8, 9 points. We would have taken this from them. Probably contested that from them easily enough. So we would probably have knocked them down to like 1 or 2 points. Because with us having a large army here and being able to produce troops out of there and out of Bavaria, that was the big point. Like we could produce troops here and stuff like that. And I'm sure Germany would have been able to defend Hanover, Saxony, like this area just for a while. Like they probably would have been able to defend it, but since we would have gotten this, we could produce 4 troops there. We were producing 3 troops out of Bavaria. We're producing 6 troops out of Constantinople. There's just been too much, especially with our huge income differences and stuff. And it's just been a matter of time. Like we were able to draw them too far deep into Russia for too long. And that's what really helped out as well. Yeah, but this is where all the forces ended up being at. This guy never moved, he just stayed in Alaska. Yeah, the Ottoman Empire was pretty much just wiped out due to the British and Russian convoy and the crap out of them.